Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 8 of Innovative EdTech. It's lovely to have you with us this evening. Just give me one moment while I sort out this. Let me sort everything out here so that we are able to get into the presentation for tonight. So, welcome to episode 8 of Innovative EdTech. It is lovely to have you with us tonight if you are joining us live. If you're watching the recording, it's lovely to have you here with us as well. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope everything goes nice and smoothly tonight. Last month, we had a few technical problems. We've moved over to some a new streaming platform, and we're still getting used to it, but fingers crossed tonight is going to be the night. So welcome to Unlocking the Power of Wakelet, 10 ways to use Wakelet in the classroom. It is going to be an absolute cracker of an episode tonight. So let's jump straight in and have a look at what we're going to explore in episode 8 of Innovative EdTech. All right, so tonight in episode 8, we are going to welcome you back. If you are new to Innovative EdTech or you're one of our regular viewers, we're going to welcome you back and just provide you with a little bit of an overview of Innovative EdTech. What is Innovative EdTech? Why do we do it? And how can you catch up on previous episodes? Then we're going to dive into exploring Wakelet, a fantastic tool that you could utilize in your classroom with your students, colleagues, or even your school community. There's so many ways that you can use this powerful tool. Then tonight, we are going to go in and dive into exploring 10 different ways that you can use Wakelet in the classroom. Tonight is a bit of a presentation where we're going to do lots of talking and we're going to do lots of sharing of wonderful ways that you can use this powerful tool, as I mentioned, with your students, with your colleagues, or even your school community. I'm then going to just go over the Wakelet plans and pricing options so that you're aware of those. And then we'll finish off episode 8 by just giving you some an overview of some of the different ways that you can stay connected with us here at Evolve EdTech and tell you what is coming up in September for episode number 9. So rather than me continuing to go over what we're going to look at tonight, let's jump in. All right, so as I've mentioned, welcome back to episode number 8. It's wonderful to have you here. If you're a regular, if you're a new viewer, welcome. So Innovative EdTech is an initiative from Evolve EdTech that we have implemented in 2024, and it's where we are going to provide you with a monthly workshop to really share a range of tips, tricks, and tools related to a whole suite of EdTech devices. We want you to really see and explore and experience what is out there in the EdTech world, because it is a huge world and it can be a little bit overwhelming if you're relatively new or inexperienced, or you might not necessarily have the confidence to use EdTech in your classroom. So we are here to help you with your EdTech journeys. So each month we have a episode. You can catch up and find out the schedule on the Evolve EdTech website. And you can also catch up with our previous episodes over on our YouTube channel. So head over there and catch up on the previous 7 episodes from 2024 and season 1 so far. So thank you for joining us tonight. Lovely to have you here. It's very exciting to have you here, and I really appreciate your support. So let's dive into tonight's topic, looking at Wakelet. Maybe you have used Wakelet before, or maybe you've never heard of Wakelet. It is an amazingly powerful tool that even we use here at Evolve EdTech, and I'm going to show you how we use Wakelet in a moment when we dive into exploring it. So let's jump into tonight's presentation. All right, so Wakelet. What is Wakelet? Well, Wakelet is an innovative content curation and organizational tool for educators. It allows teachers to gather and organize digital resources, including articles, videos, images, virtually anything that you can get a link to or you can upload, you can attach to collections otherwise known as wakes, okay, and not that particular thing that you might have at a funeral. So Wakelet is a versatile platform, okay? It enhances lesson planning. It makes it easier for you to share curated content with your students and colleagues. It is so simple, so versatile, and really the way that you can use Wakelet is absolutely endless. It's only limited by your imagination. So there are so many ways that you can use this amazing tool with your students, with your colleagues, or even with your school community. So, tonight in episode number 8, we are going to dive in and we are going to explore 10 ways that you can use Wakelet in the classroom. All right. So, tonight's workshop is merely an introduction to Wakelet and some of the different purposes that you could use Wakelet in the classroom. Okay. So that you can start to see, what can I do with this particular tool? Sometimes we come in here and we do a big demo and we show you all the bits and bobs that make a tool fantastic, but you might not necessarily have any concrete ideas on how you could use Wakelet with your students or your colleagues or your school community. So tonight, we are not diving into having a look at how to set up a Wakelet and do all of that kind of tutorial aspect. Tonight, we're really focusing on the ideas. How can I use this tool in my classroom with my students, with my colleagues, or even my school community? So that is the goal for this episode. We're going to explore 10 ways that you can use Wakelet. But I was thinking about this before we started tonight's episode, and I thought, you know what? We're going to dive in. I'm going to show you the back end of Wakelet so you get a little bit of an idea. It's not going to be a full tutorial. And I'm going to show you how we use Wakelet here at Evolve EdTech, because all of the tools that we like to share with you are tools that we use, that we have experience with when it comes to our students or our colleagues. They're not just things that we make up and pluck out of thin air. We use them ourselves. And Wakelet is something that we use at Evolve EdTech, and it's something that you can access quite easily, and I'm going to show that to you right now. So let's jump over to Wakelet, and I'm going to jump over to the Evolve EdTech Wakelet account. So I have already signed into my account here, and what you can see on the screen are all of the Evolve EdTech Wakelet collections. Now, some of these collections are historical collections, and they contain various things that are no longer publicly available to people like yourselves, but we keep them there just as an archive. But most of these you will be able to access yourself on the Evolve EdTech website, and we're going to show you that very soon. So these are all of our collections just here. So we have a whole suite of collections that we use at Evolve EdTech, and it is really simple to create a collection. So I'm going to very quickly, and again, this is not a full-blown tutorial, I'm just going to very quickly show you how to do this. So once you have signed up to Wakelet, and you can access a free account, and I'll explain more about pricing a little bit later. Once you've signed up, once you've got in and you've explored, the simple way to create a collection is we're going to head up to the top right-hand corner here to the Create Collection blue button. We're going to click on that. Then we have a number of different kind of styles that we are going to use or select to create our collection. So we can start off with a blank collection. We can have a newsletter, a lesson plan. We could have a research type layout, a choice board, or even a weekly planner. These are fantastic additions to Wakelet, and they continue to implement and start to roll out a whole range of different options. So we're going to start off with just a blank collection. It's been a long day teaching the children, so I'm a little bit croaky at the moment. All right, so once you create your collection, this is where you start. And this is essentially the starting point for all of those different templates. So you give your collection a title, you add a description, which is really simple, and then this is where you start adding your content. So you can add web addresses, all right? You can add your own text, which is really great if you kind of want to create categories or you want to create lessons or sections. You can do that so it's easy for your students or your colleagues to be able to move through. You can add images. We can also add a range of different bookmarks here. So these are some bookmarks that I have from my collection, all right, including this one here from the Sweet Talk, all right, and I can add those to my Wakelet collection. I can also add PDFs, which is fantastic. Don't think I have any there at the moment. So you can attach a whole suite of different files to your Wakelet collections. And we do also have the option here to connect to a whole range of other apps, including YouTube, Google Drive, OneDrive, and Adobe Express. So you will create a whole kind of a document wallet, a filing cabinet, whatever you want to call it, of different things in your collection. Now, there's a couple of other really cool things. All right. So obviously, I'm not going to dive into showing you how to do all of this. We can change the design here. So we can pop in a cover image. We can change the background. We can change the layout here. All right. So this is how it will be displayed when you are sharing or looking at it. So we've got a number of different layouts just there. So that is really cool and a really simple way to customize it for your class, for your faculty, for your school, your department, or whatever you would like to do. Okay, we do have our three dots here. All right, our three dots are always fantastic with any application because it means there's some more options there. So we can make a copy, we can move the collection, and we can even delete it. We can also export it as a PDF. I've got nothing in this collection. That is why that option is not available to me. And then we can share our collection. So we can share our collection with a whole range of different people. Okay, we can also choose specific users. All right, that is a pro plan option, which I will talk to you about later in this episode. So we can do that as well. We can also publish it so that people are able to access those particular collections. So Wakelet, it is really simple to be able to create your own collections full of wonderful resources. Now, I'm going to head over here to the left-hand side, and there's a couple of options I want to explain just here. We do have the ability to search, okay? So if I went here, that I don't know if this is going to do anything. So this is searching Wakelet in general. So here I'm looking for just EdTech based kind of ideas, and I can find a whole range of ideas there. Maybe if I type in reading activities, what comes up this time? There we go. So there's a whole suite of collections exploring reading activities that I can go and have a look at myself. How wonderful is that? I could also explore, okay, a whole range of different subject areas, look at a whole suite of wonderful kind of collections that have been created that I might like to access. So you can do that as well. Then you have your library that contains your items. Okay, I don't know if that's going to bring up anything. It might be a bit slow because of the internet. Then we have our collections, which I've showed you, any collections that have been shared with you. And then you can also have a look at your spaces. Now, your spaces are kind of like specific Wakelet collections for a particular class or a faculty or subject area where it's kind of curated for that particular focus. So I've got a couple here. I don't use this particular account for my students. This is the Evolve EdTech account. So that's why you don't see a lot here. And my ring light has just turned off there, which is hilarious. But you can see that you have those there. So it is really simple. Wakelet is very versatile, and it's really not a difficult tool for any user to access and use. Let's see if this will turn back on for me. All right, so I did tell you that we do use Wakelet here at Evolve EdTech, and I'm going to show you where and how we use Wakelet. And you can actually access our Wakelet collections right now if you'd like to, or you can wait till the end of this episode. So I'm going to head over to the Evolve EdTech website. So evolveedtech.com. This is where you'll find a whole suite of different things. You'll find our templates, our videos, you'll find um, a couple of courses, all kinds of different things that you can access. So one of the things that we do have on our website is something called the EdTech collections, because there's just a whole range of different tools out there when it comes to technology that it might be a little bit overwhelming for you to kind of keep track of those. So we have something called the EdTech collections, which I am going to show you right now. So once you head to evolveedtech.com, I'm just going to head up here to resources, and then I'm just going to hover down here to the EdTech collections. So the EdTech collections are a collection of apps, websites, all kinds of Chrome extensions that you might be able to use with your students. And here's the really interesting part. We have divided these up into alphabetical order, and we are actually using Wakelet collections embedded on our website so that they are easy for you to access. We were thinking about how we would like to create this. We had a spreadsheet, we had an embedded Google Sheets document. We tried all different kinds of things, but we selected our Wakelet collections to be the source because it is so simple for us to update and it's automatically reflected on our website. So we're kind of taking out that double handling aspect. So here you will be able to find a whole suite of items in our Wakelet collections for different letters of the alphabet. So we have divided those up, all right, so that you can easily access those. So this particular collection here, we've got particular tools starting with either the letter M or N, and you can just scroll through, have a look at these, and then maybe there might be something that looks interesting or something that you might be able to use with your students. So you would select that, and then you would be able to use it. So that is how we at Evolve EdTech are using Wakelet in a practical way to support you, our participants, our viewers, our loyal family, to show you how you can actually use this tool. Because as I mentioned, we don't just get in here and just rabbit on about these tools. We want to show you how we use them ourselves. We want to show you that practical aspect of using these tools within our space so that you can have a look at those within your space. So head over to Evolve EdTech / the EdTech collections to check out our Wakelet collections. Absolutely chock-a-block full of all different kinds of EdTech tools, resources, extensions, or apps that you might be able to use with your students. All right, that's enough of that little promotion. And it wasn't meant to be a promotion. It is just to show you a really practical example of how you could use Wakelet and embed it on something like a website so that you can share all of those wonderful things that you do in your classroom or with your faculty or with your school each and every day. All right, I'm going to head back to my presentation because this is what we're going to focus on for the rest of this episode. 10 ways that you can use Wakelet in the classroom. So I'm going to be doing a little bit of talking and I'll explain some of these examples for you. But hopefully tonight you get a little bit of an idea on what you could do with Wakelet in your classroom with your students or with your colleagues or with your school community, so that you can experiment with this tool. It's the one thing that I harp on about all the time. I don't want you to go out there and purchase Wakelet straight away. Go and try it for free. See if it fits your EdTech toolkit. See if it's right for you and your students before you decide whether you're going to make a financial commitment towards subscribing to Wakelet. So Just think about it first. And tonight we're just presenting you with some ideas and options. All right, let me take a bit of a quick sip of water. I have been talking to you for a little bit now, and I'm getting a little bit parched. All right, let's head into idea number 1. Create a collaborative class project. Now, this is one of the wonderful things that you can do with Wakelet is make your particular collection really collaborative with your class. You could even do this with your colleagues, all right? There's a whole suite and range of different ways that you could do this. So you could use Wakelet to collect and curate resources such as videos, articles, and documents for a group project. Each student can contribute to the Wakelet collection and use it as a central hub for research and communication. So using Wakelet as a form of collaborative class projects is another really innovative, different way to create and to use that collaboration aspect, but we're using something different, and this time we're using Wakelet. All right, so let's go and have a look at some possible ways and ideas where we could use this in our classroom. All right, number 1, group research projects. So we could assign different groups specific topics. So we may have a whole unit and we're looking at doing some summaries in preparation for an end of year or end of course examination or an assessment task. And we could actually allocate different groups a different topic or a different kind of focus. And within that group, those students can collect videos, articles, resources, images, anything that they deem worthy or relevant, and add them to that collection, which can then be shared with your entire class. So we're breaking it down. It might be a chapter summary, it might be a unit summary, but we're getting our students to focus on a specific area, which is then going to be shared with the students and your class as a whole. What a great idea, a simple way to use Wakelet by creating some group research projects. All right, number 2, we could use Wakelet as a classroom magazine. Okay, how cool would this be? So we could have our students create a digital magazine and our students could contribute articles and images and videos related to that theme or subject. And then maybe you push that particular classroom magazine out to your parents or the school community to show them what is happening. How cool is that? A different way to create a magazine / newsletter using Wakelet. And our third idea for our first way to use Wakelet tonight is that we can create history timelines. So students can contribute historical events, images, and descriptions to create a comprehensive timeline on Wakelet. All right. Now, I absolutely love this idea, and I have tried this idea before with students where they were required to create a virtual, a visual timeline. Or I think we were studying and looking at Tim Burton. So they were required to create a timeline using Wakelet, but they were able to include those events. They were able to include text, images. They were able to put in movie trailers. They could do so much to make the timeline really pop and come alive. So 3 really simple but really effective ways to use Wakelet to create collaborative class projects with your students. How cool is that? Such a versatile tool, and that is why I love this tool so much. All right, idea number 2, hosting a virtual book club. So you can use Wakelet to create a virtual book club for students to share and discuss their thoughts on a chosen book. Students can add quotes, they can add reflections, they can add resources related to that particular book to that Wakelet collection. Great if you're a teacher librarian and you're looking at different ways to engage your students in reading in your library. Okay, why don't you host a virtual book club that your students can access? So let's go and have a look at some different ways that we could use Wakelet to host a virtual book club. All right, number one, we could use it for chapter summaries. So let's say that maybe we are reading a particular text. So I might use an example from my world. I'm currently looking at Susan Collins' The Hunger Games with my Year 10 class. Okay, maybe I would assign each student a chapter, and there are 27 chapters in that particular novel. I know that because we're reading it at the moment. And then your students can actually take a little bit of leadership, and they could actually share key points, quotes. They might even pop in their own reflection as to the quality or the effectiveness or the engagement of that chapter within the story as a whole. And they could share that as a Wakelet collection, a collaborative collection. And there you will have a beautiful summary of all of those particular chapters from a particular text. How cool is that? All right, so that's one way that we could host a virtual book club using Wakelet. All right, number two, character analysis. Another fantastic way, and I can see all of these particular examples being used. If you're an English or an English language arts type of teacher, I can see these being used as well in that particular topic or subject area. So character analysis. So here your students add posts analyzing different characters, including images, quotes, and their personal insights. So I could see each perhaps student with their own Wakelet collection and maybe looking at those key characters. Maybe they have a bit of a structure that you'd like with particular content that you would like them to include, but I can see a really cool way of creating a Wakelet collection that's individualized to the students, looking at characters or key characters from a text. Oh, I'm getting ideas. I love this as well. So character analysis, instead of doing those really boring tables, we're creating a character analysis using Wakelet. What a fantastic idea. All right, I'm getting a little bit stimulated here. So let's move on to the third idea. All right, thematic discussions. Oh, again, I am an English teacher and I do love this and I love these ideas. So you might create a collection that has different sections for different themes of the book or genre where your students can add resources, discuss themes, and provide real world connections. How cool is that? I actually have just another idea, as I mentioned. They're just coming to me tonight. All right. I know in my particular library, our library is actually now, and our fiction sections actually structured in genres. So we've actually sorted it all out, okay, and we've actually got genre-based sections. So I could see here that we could have those genre-based sections, and our students could be adding, little kind of interesting things related to those genres, all right, in the Wakelet collection. So that would be a really cool, innovative way to use Wakelet with your students to look at those genres and some of those key themes that we see in a range of text. Another fantastic way that you could use Wakelet today with your students in your classroom. How cool is that? All right, let's head over and keep going while we're going strong for idea number 3, sharing class notes and resources. So we could use Wakelet to share our class notes and other resources with our students. This can be especially helpful for students who might have missed a class or want to review the material that you have explored at a later date. I love this idea because perhaps you don't have a learning management system, an LMS. Perhaps you don't use Google Classroom or Microsoft Teams or some other kind of repository where you can pop all of these resources. Maybe Wakelet is just what you need, okay? So Wakelet could be that perfect place for you to share those notes and resources with your students. So let's check out some ideas on how we could do this in our classroom. All right, Idea number one, weekly summaries. So you could post a summary of the week's lessons, including key points, videos, links, and additional resources into a Wakelet collection. So if you have a 10-week school term like I do where I work, all right, maybe you have a section for each week where you just provide your students with a summary of what you've explored in class, as well as maybe some links to some videos or links to some documents or resources or images that might be really useful for your students. So you provide a weekly summary to your students in your Wakelet collection. Sounds simple, achievable, and manageable. All right. I don't want you having to go out there and spend hours creating these collections. All right. I want you to do and use this in a way that is efficient and effective for you. All right, let's have a look at another idea. Okay, study guides. This is a great idea if you maybe are teaching a course with a number of different topics, or you are teaching some of our senior students. Study guides might be really handy, and you might be able to use Wakelet to do this. So you might be able to create and share study guides for exams, including notes, videos, and interactive activities. So if you're looking at a particular text, a topic, a subject area, you could create a really in-depth, accessible study guide using Wakelet for your students to use. So easy, so simple, and it's just a different alternative way for you to deliver this information to your students that's not necessarily on a Google site or Google Classroom or Microsoft Teams, but we're using a different method to communicate this information with our students. So maybe you would like to create some study guides with your students using Wakelet. All right, let's have a look at our next idea on how we could share class notes and resources using Wakelet. And that is that resource repository, okay, where we can create that collection of templates and rubrics and study guides and all different kinds of things that you're using that might be really handy within your own faculty or subject area. If you are teaching very similar things with your other teaching colleagues, you might create a Wakelet collection that contains some of these, so that just remember, it might be easier to access some of these if you're not on site, because we know some schools keep things very server based. So maybe creating a Wakelet collection could be the answer to make that easier for you. Also, really great if you want to create something to share with your not only your own students, but perhaps students within your own state or system, with templates, rubrics, resources that can be used across a number of different schools. So another really amazing set of ideas on how we can use Wakelet to share class notes and resources with not only our students, but also our colleagues as well, because I think it's really important that we acknowledge that Wakelet is not just something that can be used with our students exclusively, that we can also use it with our colleagues. All right, let's head over to idea number 4. All right, so idea number 4 for using Wakelet in the classroom is that we can collaborate on a presentation. So we can use Wakelet to collaborate on a presentation with students. So each student can contribute their own research and resources, and the Wakelet collection can be used as a way to organize and structure the presentation. So here we could have kind of, again, a system for selecting and finding and organizing what we need to include in a presentation. And this might be the location where we keep all that. A really great way for you as a teacher to track a student's contributions to a project and see what they're bringing to the party. All right. So we could use it to collaborate on a presentation. So let's have a look at some different ways that we could do that in our classrooms. All right. We could have topic sections. All right. Very similar to probably our first idea tonight. We can divide our presentation up into sections, and we might actually have our students focusing on a specific part. And within our Wakelet collection, that's where they can start to add their research and their findings. So maybe we're looking at a different way of delivering a presentation or delivering our research to our teacher to demonstrate our learning, rather than getting up the front and doing a speech and, all of that. We're using a Wakelet collection. We've all got our own sections. We know what our sections require. And now we could go and we can modify it. We can customize it. We can pop in video, images, PDFs. We can do anything that we like to demonstrate our learning for our particular topic in the Wakelet collection. Sounds so amazing. All right. Sounds so innovative. And it sounds like something that I would love to see. All right. Number 2, multimedia integration. So again, we can actually encourage our students to move beyond just that text-based focus of writing, but this time look at how we could use videos and images and articles to enrich our presentation content. So kind of getting a little bit of that multimodal aspect. So having our text, but also finding images and audio and videos to really elevate that presentation, demonstrate our understanding, and really create an amazing content-rich presentation using different types of media. So amazing and so innovative. A different way to approach a project, a presentation, moving beyond the old Google Slides or Microsoft PowerPoint, and finding a different way for our students to deliver their learning to you. All right, our third example of how we can collaborate on a presentation using Wakelet is peer reviewing. So before the final presentation, your students review and provide feedback on each other's contributions in the Wakelet collection. So I could see a little bit of app smashing here. So maybe we create our presentation using Wakelet, and then we use something like a Google form to do a little bit of peer feedback, okay, which is then shared maybe with a conference between the teacher and the members of the group. So a fantastic way to really get our students sharing and providing constructive feedback on each other's contributions to a collaborative project that has been created using Wakelet, okay? Another fantastic way that we could use Wakelet with our students. All right, let's head into number 5. Oh, this is a fantastic idea. Idea number 5 on how we can use Wakelet in the classroom is to create a digital portfolio. So you could have your students use Wakelet to create a digital portfolio where they add their own work, such as writing samples, artworks, other projects. Might be video, it might be audio recordings, it could be virtually anything. And they add them to their Wakelet collection, and they use this to showcase their achievements. I can see this being very handy at a kind of presentation night, or when you might be communicating and sharing with parents, that you can show this to them. And this is obviously going to be entirely student-led. So they're going to decide what they're going to add to their own digital portfolio. What are they proud of? What have they done? What have they achieved? So let's go and have a look at some classroom ideas on how we can create digital portfolios using Wakelet. All right, I just kind of alluded to this, and I think this is a fantastic suggestion. Project showcases. So students add their major projects with descriptions, images, and also providing their own reflections on their learning processes. So maybe, for example, if I look at myself, with most of my classes, we complete 4 formal assessment tasks per year. Maybe I get my students to upload their work to their Wakelet collection, And then maybe they complete a short reflection afterwards. It might be something simple as identify 2 areas that you excelled in, and then identify 1 area to work on. It might be 2 stars and a wish. It could be something really simple to start with, and then gradually we could work on developing that so that my students started to really reflect on their learning. So really showcasing their own learning, okay, their own projects in a Wakelet collection as a digital portfolio is the first idea that we are going to share with you. All right, let's head over to idea number 2, skill development. So you could create, or your students could create, sections for different skills or subjects where students can upload work demonstrating their growth and achievements. So maybe you're doing something like a bump it up activity, and maybe you're doing some pre-assessments and some post-assessments. Okay, maybe you're doing some graphing to show the achievements and the changes as your students have started to learn different things within your course or subject area. Maybe you can get them to upload their pre-assessment, their post-assessment. Again, maybe they can do a little bit of a reflection. Maybe they can do something verbally, okay? Maybe they can record themselves and they can pop that in as their reflection in their Wakelet collection to demonstrate their skill development. So many different ways, so many different ideas, okay, of how you can approach this. It's not a one size fits all right? It's up to the student. It's up to how they would like to create their digital portfolio. Obviously, you might provide them with some parameters, okay, some expectations, but then it's up to them to create something that they are proud of. All right, let's have a look at our third idea. Look at this. I've talked about this, okay, a little bit, but this time it's a little bit different. Maybe we can create a section, okay, a feedback section, which includes a space for teachers and peers to leave constructive feedback. So we're actually, again, focusing on sharing and really collaborating and looking at what we've done and what we've achieved. And we're focusing not only just on us as teachers, but also our students. Again, this might take a little bit of time to set up with your students, especially if they are not familiar with peer reviewing each other, okay? But it might be an option. You might even have the capacity for the parents to pop something in there as well after that showcase has been shared with them. So 3 really great ideas on how you could use Wakelet to create a digital portfolio within your class. All right, let's power on. We are halfway through this list tonight. Let's head over to idea number 6. Okay, idea number 6 on how we can use Wakelet in the classroom is we can use Wakelet to host a virtual field trip or excursion. So you could use Wakelet to create a virtual field trip or excursion that your students can go on without leaving the classroom. Here you can add resources, you can add videos, photos, articles, all right, all about that destination, but we're just doing it in a virtual capacity. All right, I'm looking at the world now as a teacher in 2024, and I have been teaching for 14 years, so I have seen a great number of changes in education, and probably the biggest has been COVID. But things like excursions and field trips are starting to become harder. Okay, if you and your education system is like mine here in Australia, we are struggling to find teachers. We're struggling to find relief teachers and casual teachers to come in and support us when our colleagues are taking students on excursions or they're off sick or on leave, etc. So being able to take our students beyond the classroom, but doing it in a virtual capacity is probably something that we are going to have to think about more and more as we're moving towards our future. So let's dive in and have a look at some different ways that we could host a virtual field trip or excursion with our students. All right, idea number 1, interactive maps. So we could use Wakelet to embed interactive maps with information and multimedia about the virtual field trip locations. And we could be using a whole range of other different resources and suites, Google Maps, Google Earth. Okay, we can be popping in videos, we can be popping in all different kinds of multimedia, so our students can have some capacity of feeling like they're going to a particular location. They're going and exploring somewhere that you may or may not necessarily be able to take them to in person for whatever reasons. So creating an interactive map, an interactive activity where your students are able to go and explore that particular location is a fantastic way to overcome some of the challenges that we might be facing in education at the moment. All right, idea number 2. Okay, maybe we're hosting a little bit of an excursion, a field trip, but we want to get our students thinking about or provide our students with some knowledge pre-trip, pre-field trip, pre-excursion. So we could provide our students with articles, videos, all kinds of different resources so that they have a base knowledge before we actually take them on that virtual field trip or excursion. So a really great way to use Wakelet to provide our students with a little bit of knowledge before we actually move into exploring the actual virtual field trip or excursion. All right, idea number 3. Okay, pretty obvious here. We could also use Wakelet as that post-trip reflection. And this is where we could have our students share their experiences about what they learned from that virtual field trip or excursion by sharing their own posts, sharing some multimedia, finding an image, all different ways of sharing their learning in a Wakelet collection. A really great way to provide our students with an opportunity to move beyond the classroom, but we're doing this in a way that is going to be manageable and achievable in the current educational climax. So having a look at how we can host those virtual field trips and excursions using Wakelet, another fantastic idea. All right, number 7. Okay, number 7. Our 7th idea on how we can use Wakelet to really make our classroom come alive is to facilitate online discussion. So you can use Wakelet to facilitate online discussions with your students, okay, where they share their thoughts and engage in meaningful conversations with their peers. So another great way for our students to collaborate, but also to be able to do this in a respectful way. So let's head over and have a look at some of the different ways that we could do this in our classroom. All right, sorry if I just got dark. My other light has just decided to turn off. It's hilarious when you're trying to do something and your lights don't work. Okay, classroom idea number 1. So, a discussion prompt. You might provide your students with weekly prompts or questions related to your curriculum, encouraging your students to respond and engage with each other. So you might have a writing prompt, you might have some kind of question, it might be a hypothetical, it might be a past exam question, and you get your students to maybe respond to that, or we do it in a discussion type of way where we have a bit of a conversation. So many ways that you can do this and achieve this using Wakelet. All right, our next idea is debates. So you might set up debates with appropriate topics where your students post arguments, counter arguments. Okay, they might even provide evidence such as videos or articles to really support their opinions for or against something there. This one might take a little bit of time to set up, especially with your expectations, but I can see debates being something you could really use when it comes to Wakelet. So another fantastic idea on how you can facilitate online discussions using Wakelet in the classroom. And our next idea is a reflection journal. So here your students can maintain a digital journal within Wakelet, okay, reflecting on their learning and class discussions. And again, as the teacher, maybe you hop in and you respond to some of those reflections and you provide some feedback. All right. Again, I don't want you to think you have to do this because I want this to be sustainable and manageable. So it might just be once a week, it might be once a fortnight, completely up to you as to how and when you go in and the level of feedback that you provide your students. But a reflection journal within Wakelet, a really different way of using this tool within the classroom. All right, we have 3 different ways that we could use Wakelet to explore. So let's jump in to idea number 8. Collaborate on a research project. Okay, now we did have one earlier that was very similar, and we've had a couple of these, okay, tonight. So just bear with me if you go, we've had these before. All right, the ideas are actually different. So we know that we can use Wakelet to collaborate on projects, including research projects. We know that students can add their own research and resources, all right? But Wakelet's a really useful way for your students to track their progress and stay organized. So this particular example might be if we're going to use Wakelet as the basis for managing and organizing our project, but maybe we're going to be using a different tool to actually create and present our project. All right, so bear with me as we go through some of these different ideas. All right, classroom idea number 1 for collaborating on research projects. So maybe what you're going to get your students to do is you're going to get them to create their resources within a Wakelet collection. So we just want them to go out there with their topic, find resources, whether it's articles, videos, interviews, anything relevant, and basically brain dump them into a Wakelet collection so that it's all in one place and all of the group members can access that information. So it may not just be specific to the topic of person A and B, C, D, etc. It could just be generic. This is a brain dump of anything that we think might be useful. And they pop that in there so that they have that resource curation in one location. Okay, so that's the first way that we can make that project collaboration a little bit easier for our groups. Idea number 2, we could use our Wakelet collection as an annotated bibliography. So our students add their sources with annotations explaining the relevance and how they'll be used in the project. So this is, again, different to those other kind of very similar suggestions from earlier in this episode. So this time we're actually getting our students to identify their sources and tell us why they're relevant and how this particular source might be used. All right. Maybe this is going to be for your higher capacity students to start with in the beginning. Okay. But it's really important that we start to acknowledge those sources and where we have obtained our information. All right, our third idea is progress updates. So regularly update the Wakelet collection with students' research findings, drafts, and milestones. So we could use a Wakelet collection as a project's timeline, okay? So with your students, I can see this being really handy if you are doing some project-based learning or UTL, Universal Design for Learning projects with your students. You could get them using a Wakelet collection, and you could actually create some templates and have that accessible to your students so that they can actually update what they're doing, okay, their findings, their drafts, their milestones, etc. So there's different ways that we can focus on this idea of collaboration. All right, we can do it within a group. We could do it individually between teacher and student. All right, there's so many different ways that we can use Wakelet in the classroom for a variety of projects. All right, we are on the final countdown now. Let's head over to idea number 9, sharing announcements and updates. So you can use Wakelet to share updates and announcements not only with your students, maybe with your colleagues as well as your school community to keep them informed of class changes, assignments, excursions, events, basically anything that you think is relevant for them. So some examples on how we could use this in our classroom. We might have a weekly bulletin where we provide our students or our colleagues with updates deadlines, events, okay, anything that may be relevant to them, okay, or even your school community, okay, so that they are aware of what is happening. Again, maybe this is a way that we are going to create our school newsletter. All right, we did see earlier that that is an option that we can now use in Wakelet. All right, our next idea is that we may use Wakelet to announce our assignments or our assessments with our students. So we create a section for assignments with detailed instructions, due dates, and helpful resources. So again, perhaps you're not using an LMS, okay? Perhaps you're not using Google Classroom or Microsoft Teams or anything like that. You might have a Wakelet collection where you have your assignments there, you have your notifications, you have your due dates, you have other resources that your students can access so that they can work on those at home or within your school environment. So assignment announcements, another fantastic way that we can use Wakelet to share updates and announcements with our students. And the final suggestion is event reminders. Use Wakelet to remind your students and even your school community of important events such as exams, school events, project deadlines, a bit like a calendar, okay? It might have some links, it might have some resources, it might have invitations, videos. Again, a really simple way to share announcements and updates with your students, your colleagues, and even your school community using a Wakelet collection. So you can see here that Wakelet is so versatile. There are so many different ways that you can use Wakelet in the classroom, outside the classroom with your colleagues. Okay, it's such a versatile tool. All right, let's head into idea number 10 because we are almost at time for this episode, but we've got a couple more things to talk about before we finish up tonight. So, idea number 10, create a resource library. All right, we did talk about a very similar idea earlier, okay, but maybe we're going to create a resource library for our students which contains study guides, practice problems, other materials that they can very quickly and easily access and reference. Maybe really handy if you've got senior students and you want to be able to create some resources. And for them, I could see a teacher librarian creating some of these for different subjects that your school may offer for your senior students, full of all different kinds of resources or tutorials or study sessions that your students might like to be able to access. All right, let's head over to a final 3 classroom ideas for idea number 10. Okay, here we go. Subject-specific resources. We've talked about this, so maybe you can create a collection that is just for your different subjects: English, maths, geography, biology, economics, any subject that you may have at your school. Okay, you can create that however you like. It might be full of study guides, videos, tutorials, practice exams, all different kinds of resources that you could use there. Okay, so subject specific resources that you could create using Wakelet. All right, idea number 2. Again, this goes hand in hand. Exam preparation. So maybe you are a year advisor or year coordinator, and maybe you are creating a Wakelet collection that has exam materials, past papers, tips, videos, revision guides for a particular year group or a particular topic or subject area that you can share with your students. All right. Collaborating and curating these in one collection just makes it easier and more accessible for our students to be able to access. And our very last idea for idea number 10 is peer recommended resources. So here we may allow our students to contribute their favorite study resources, tips, and tools that have helped them, because do you know what? Our students sometimes find the best resources that are actually so helpful and useful. So maybe you actually create a Wakelet collection where your class or your year group or your subject area, your students are able to share those resources, those tips and tools with their peers. Okay, a really fantastic way to see how Wakelet can be used in a completely different manner. All right, so a peer recommended resource collection. Fantastic idea. I absolutely love it. All right, that does bring us to the end of our 10 ways that you might be able to use Wakelet in your classroom. So these suggestions tonight, they aim to really emphasize, and they really are there to enhance that interactivity, engagement, and educational value of using Wakelet collections. All right. You can help your students to effectively incorporate this tool into not only their own study, but also into your classrooms to really create powerful Wakelet collections that is a little bit different to something like the normal Google Sites or using Microsoft Teams or Google Classroom. We're looking at a different way of delivering and presenting these. And we're doing that by creating some wonderful Wakelet collections with our students that we could use with our colleagues or even our school community. So Wakelet, so powerful, versatile, and there are so many ways that you can use it, like we've shown you here with Evolve EdTech, in your classroom today. All right, so let's head in. We're almost at the end of episode 8, and I do just want to quickly go over this one here, which is the plans and pricing options that Wakelet currently offer. Okay, it is really important that you do know this if you are looking at exploring Wakelet or making a financial contribution and an investment. So it does have a number of different options here. Okay, we do start off with the individual option here, which is free. Okay, you have unlimited items and collections, you have unlimited share to view, you can have 3 collaborative collections, you can publish 4 collections, and you can explore other collections there. So if that is all you need, the individual will be absolutely perfect for you. As a disclaimer, I don't pay for Wakelet at this particular point in time. I am using the free version. Okay, I am a legacy user, so I get a little bit of a different kind of focus, but you do have enough there to be able to, use Wakelet efficiently within your classroom on the free plan. But if the free plan's not quite right for you, okay, you might decide to invest in Individual Pro, which starts at $5.99 US dollars per month, okay? And obviously you get everything in the free plan, okay? But this time you have the option to video record and upload. You have a bigger capacity to upload media. You have unlimited collaborative collections. You have unlimited publishing, and you have access to premium templates. So that is if you are looking at using Wakelet more regularly within your classroom and your students. Individual Pro might be something for you to look at. And obviously, Wakelet do have the capacity for an education option there, okay, which is much, much more detailed, much, much more specific. So if you're interested in that option, then please contact Wakelet. But I hope I've shown you tonight that Wakelet is a very versatile tool that it can provide you with so many options in the classroom. It can provide you with a wealth of ideas, a wealth of strategies, a wealth of ways of presenting and delivering information to your students, your colleagues, as well as your school community. It is a versatile tool. It's a fantastic tool. And it's a tool that I really do love. And you can see that from our website with our Wakelet collections. So I really encourage you to go and have a look and explore Wakelet and see if it is right to add to your EdTech toolkit. All right, well, that brings us to the end of episode number 8 of Innovative EdTech for August 2024. It has been wonderful to be able to deliver these 8 episodes to you so far this year as part of season 1. But if you really can't wait for our next episode, you can connect with us and stay connected with us here at Evolve EdTech, you can head over to our website, evolveedtech.com. We would love it if you haven't done so already to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. By liking and subscribing, it is just one way of sharing and getting Evolve EdTech out there in the big, wide YouTube world, because we want to share our love of EdTech with you. We want to help you with your EdTech adventures, and by liking and subscribing to our channel, that's one small way that you can help us and motivate us, and it's not going to cost you a single cent. You can also connect with us on Facebook, Instagram. We are on Pinterest, and you can check us out on TikTok as well. So we would love to see you in some capacity, whether it's on our socials, whether you're visiting our website, or you're liking and subscribing to our YouTube channel. All right, that means one last thing. Actually, there's a couple more things. So don't forget to go and check out our previous 7 episodes. Okay, I'm going to tell you that those particular thumbnail images have changed. So if they look a bit different, that's why, because I've updated those. So you can head over to our Evolve EdTech YouTube channel to check out our previous episodes from 2024, Season 1. All right, if you did not know Evolve EdTech, we love sharing, and we have on our website over 80 digital templates that you can access and download for free today. So these are just some examples of our templates. We have over 80 on there now. There's a whole suite. I love heading into my back end, my customers resource manager, and having a look at what people are accessing, and it's fantastic. So head over to Evolve EdTech's website and check out our digital template collections. All right, if you haven't also had enough of me tonight, you can head over to our website and you can access the Smart Classrooms Navigating the Digital Education Landscape workshop that we have delivered. It's all about looking at why it's really important that we look at educational technology and the benefits of EdTech within our classroom. So head over to evolveedtech.com/smart classrooms to register for that workshop, and you can access that immediately and check out that workshop. All right, this is it. This is it. I promise. I've gone over time, but I promise this is it for tonight. So thank you so much for joining us for episode 8. It's been wonderful having you here, talking to you about some of the different ways that you can use Wakelet in the classroom. But next month will be episode number 9, September 2024. And next month, our edition is looking at Google Classroom Essentials, 15 tips and tricks for getting the most out of Google Classroom. So if you are a Google Classroom user or you're brand new to Google Classroom, join us in September on Monday, the 9th of September, 2024 at 7 p.m. Melbourne, Australia time for episode number 9, where we're going to share 15 tips and tricks to help you make the most out of Google Classroom. Well, again, thank you so much for joining us for episode number 8. It has been absolutely lovely having you here. We really appreciate all of your love and support. Just a reminder, if you haven't done so, make sure that you like and subscribe to the Evolve EdTech YouTube channel. Connect with us on our socials, and we will catch you again in September for Google Classroom Essentials. But until that, everybody, I want you to stay safe, be good, head out there, go and experiment with some EdTech and have fun with EdTech in the classroom. My name is Tristan. I am the creator of Evolve EdTech. Thank you so much for joining us for episode 8, and we will catch you again in September. Until then, everybody, stay safe, be good.